King Harris, the son of hip-hop icon T.I., was born into wealth most people could only dream of: lavish mansions, elite schools, and a life of endless privilege. But instead of embracing the fortune laid at his feet, he's running headfirst into danger.
4 young men were in this car when they were shot. The vehicle pulled up to their Chevy sedan, opened fire, then took off.
From explosive confrontations in public,
come on, shake some. Come on, shake some. Hey, get your employees.
to sparking feuds with rappers who've survived real street wars, King is playing a role he doesn't understand. And here's the chilling part: it's a role that usually ends in prison bars or 6 feet underground. The warnings are loud, the tension is real, and time is running out.
Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean?
From the very beginning, King Harris had a life others could only fantasize about. Designer wardrobes, exclusive schools, and a sprawling mansion to call home. As the child of legendary rapper T.I. and singer Tiny, his path to success was already paved with gold. Yet instead of cherishing that extraordinary start, he's deliberately steering into chaos, desperate to portray himself as something he's not. Raised in comfort, surrounded by every luxury, King could have built an empire of his own. But rather than embracing the advantages in front of him, he's working overtime to distance himself from them. His mission? To convince the world he's real, to prove he's hardened by struggle instead of shaped by privilege. And that's not all. He isn't keeping these antics behind closed doors. Viral moments show him clashing with fast food workers,
Embarrassing yourself and your family. You embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing yourself. You are embarrassing.
flashing gang gestures online, and nearly pulling weapons during heated arguments in parking lots.
You still talking inside though. Why you inside? Can't stop me from doing it.
Each reckless display pushes him further from safety and deeper into trouble. Gets worse. King crossed a disturbing line when he paid a homeless man to endure the infamous one chip challenge.
Different flavor, but it's still hot. So look, there you go, $50, 5 minutes.
Laughing at his suffering instead of offering help. To many, this wasn't just immature. It was cruel, shocking fans who once supported him. And just when you think it couldn't spiral further, King began targeting rappers whose reputations were carved in real blood. Most teenagers act out and face detention. When King Harris acts out, the entire internet sees it. And this time, his behavior dragged him into the crosshairs of someone far more dangerous than he realized. It began with a name that carries serious weight: Julio, a Jacksonville rapper whose notoriety wasn't built on gossip or staged drama. It was earned in one of the deadliest rap feuds America has ever seen. This wasn't some social media rival. This was a man with scars, loss, and blood on his hands. Yet King thought provoking him would be a smart move.
What you want? What you want? You from here? Yeah, I'm from here. Yeah, I'm from here. Alright, so
And that's not all. King didn't just toss a few words. He openly challenged Julio to a boxing match.
Julio, get your in the boxing ring. I want to speak on. Man, I hear a lot of these got so much to say when it's viral.
Uploading training clips and boasting like he was the next heavyweight champ. To King, it looked like a stunt for attention. But to Julio, it was a slap in the face. Gets worse. Julio shot back with an ominous warning: find something productive to do before you end up watching Netflix in heaven. Those chilling words weren't just trash talk. They were a reality check, one that left social media buzzing with concern. But instead of pulling back, King fanned the flames. He doubled down, fueling a conflict he didn't start and couldn't possibly control. And just when it seemed like things couldn't escalate further, tragedy struck, changing the tone of everything around him. And then, everything changed in an instant. Not long after Julio's icy warning swept across social media, headlines exploded. Julio had been shot and killed in Jacksonville. A man who'd survived endless attempts on his life finally met his fate. Fans were stunned. The rap world was shaken. And King Harris? He dropped a cryptic Instagram story: "Y'all be safe out here." And that's not all. Some saw it as a subtle jab. Others thought it was a wake-up call. Either way, it only poured gasoline on a fire that was already blazing. Here was a privileged celebrity kid who had just been checked by a seasoned street figure, suddenly posting in the aftermath of that same figure's death. Gets worse. Social media erupted with urgent warnings. Tweets flooded in: "Julio just checked you, don't make yourself the next target, and this isn't a movie, this is real life." The laughter stopped. The memes slowed down. Concern replaced mockery, because even casual observers knew King had stepped into something far more dangerous than a viral stunt. But instead of treating Julio's death as a lesson, King carried on like nothing happened. Angry, defiant, still obsessed with proving himself. And just when it seemed like reality should have sunk in, he pushed harder, blind to the fact that he was walking straight into a world with no mercy. To really grasp the danger surrounding King Harris, you have to understand the environment Julio came from, because this wasn't casual beef, it was an all-out war, a conflict so intense it turned Jacksonville into one of the most violent battlegrounds in the music world. Started with two rival groups, ATK, led by Young Ace, and KTA, with Julio at the forefront. But instead of dropping lyrical competition, they released songs dripping with venom, tracks that mocked the dead, bars that celebrated murders, music videos flashing images of slain rivals like trophies on display. And that's not all. One track changed everything. Who I Smoke. Imagine taking Vanessa Carlton's soft ballad 1,000 Miles and flipping it into a taunt about real victims who'd been gunned down. The internet went crazy. Millions of views poured in, and suddenly kids nationwide were chanting names of the deceased without realizing they were real people. Gets worse. Julio clapped back with his own viral response, standing in front of posters of Ace's murdered friends, including his own blood brother. Funerals became punchlines. Grief was turned into entertainment. And just when you think it couldn't spiral further, family members turned against each other. Cousins switched sides, allies betrayed allies, and the violence escalated year after year. Jacksonville's rap scene became a soundtrack of funerals. And King Harris, raised in wealth, is now pretending he belongs in that same blood-soaked narrative. Do you see how deep this runs? This isn't just music, it's war. Let me know in the comments if you think King understands what he's stepping into. And hit that like button and subscribe to keep this story alive. The deeper you look into Jacksonville's rap feud, the darker and more disturbing it becomes. At this point, the music stopped being art. It became a weapon. And one of the most chilling examples came with the murder of Julio's younger brother, Bibby. He was only 16 when bullets rained down outside an apartment complex. More than 60 shots fired into the night. And that's not all. Court records later pointed the finger at rapper Xu, accusing him of carrying out the execution. But instead of silence or remorse, Xu flaunted it. He appeared online wearing Bibby's jersey like it was a victory flag. He even plastered the faces of Julio's dead family members across an album cover, mocking tragedy for streams. Gets worse. When another young artist, Lil 9, was ambushed and hit with over a dozen bullets before his car slammed into a tire shop, Xu didn't stop at celebrating the death. He went further, placing Lil 9's picture inside a microwave for a music video. Imagine being a grieving family member and seeing your child's memory treated like a sick op. And just when you think it can't descend further, the cycle kept spinning. Murders fueled more tracks. Funerals inspired more videos. Every release was another shot in a war that refused to end. This is the brutal reality King Harris is pretending to embrace. A reality where disrespect isn't entertainment, it's a death warrant. You think this bloody conflict stayed locked inside Jacksonville? Think again. The internet grabbed it, magnified it, and turned it into a worldwide spectacle. What began as raw diss tracks between rivals was soon fueling TikTok trends, YouTube reactions, and endless memes. Teenagers everywhere were dancing to songs about real murders, completely unaware they were repeating the names of actual victims. And that's not all. The disrespect itself became entertainment. Tracks born from tragedy climbed the charts, racking up millions of streams and views. The more violent the lyrics, the bigger the buzz. Suddenly, this wasn't just street revenge, it was global content. Gets worse. Things escalated to the point where the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office had to form a dedicated unit to dissect rap videos. Not for fun, but for evidence. Detectives broke down lyrics like case files, freeze-framed videos for weapons, and treated verses like open confessions. Music wasn't art anymore. It was crime scene documentation with a beat. And just when you think it couldn't get more reckless, King Harris, a privileged son of fame and fortune, decided to mimic that exact lifestyle. Throwing up gang signs, issuing threats, pretending he's part of a world drenched in real blood. Online, it might look like a joke. In reality, one wrong step could make him the next headline. Back home in Atlanta, the storm wasn't just outside. It was brewing inside King Harris's own family. His parents, T.I. and Tiny, could see the danger building, and they weren't afraid to call it out. They knew exactly where this reckless path was heading, and the warnings grew louder with every stunt. And that's not all. T.I. didn't sugarcoat a thing. He admitted openly that if King kept walking this road, the destination was prison. No exceptions, no special treatment. A father's raw honesty laid bare for the world to hear. Gets worse. During a Falcons game, Tiny exposed the truth live, tearing apart King's hood image in front of thousands. She revealed that he wasn't raised in the streets. He begged to visit his grandmother's house. His carefully crafted story collapsed in seconds, and King was humiliated on the spot. And just when you think it couldn't couldn't spiral further, reports surfaced that T.I. had to physically restrain his son, allegedly putting him in a chokehold during a heated argument just to keep him under control. Imagine that. A rap legend forced to wrestle his own child to save him from self-destruction. But instead of taking those warnings to heart, King only grew louder, angrier, and more determined to prove his so-called toughness. The battle between his family's reality checks and his obsession with validation is tearing him apart piece by piece. What would you do if your own child ignored every warning? Should T.I. step in harder, or is King destined to learn the hard way? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit that like button if you're still following this crazy story. If the streets weren't enough to humble King Harris, the internet made sure he felt a sting. Every time he puffed out his chest or tried to act like a hardened gangster, social media was there, ready to flip his image into a meme. And the message was clear: people weren't buying it. And that's not all. Posts began flooding timelines, mocking the contradiction in his story. One viral joke said he was eating pancakes in a mansion, then claiming to be starving in the hood after dark. Others crowned him the poster child for what happens when privilege tries to cosplay as struggle. Each time King flexed, the internet flipped it into comedy. It gets worse. Even when King thought he was proving his toughness, fans saw desperation. They saw a kid clawing for credibility he could never truly earn. Instead of admiration, he collected ridicule. Instead of respect, he built a brand as a wannabe. And just when you think the backlash might cool off, it only grew louder. Influencers, fans, even fellow rappers piled on, reminding him that no amount of wealth or family fame could shield him. Once you step into the game, your last name doesn't protect you. The streets decide. The harsh reality? The harder King tried to be real, the more fake he looked. And in a world where authenticity is survival, that contradiction is dangerous. Here's what King Harris refuses to see. The streets don't hand out second chances. They hand out graves. The very culture he's imitating has torn apart families, left mothers sobbing over caskets, and buried more young men than anyone can count. And that's not all. In Jacksonville alone, this deadly feud ripped relatives apart. Cousins forced to take sides. Childhood friends becoming sworn enemies. Brothers killed while rivals mocked their names in songs. This isn't a rap battle. It's generational trauma set to a beat. Gets worse. Every diss record isn't just music. It's another mother's heartbreak, another community shattered, another young life erased. Kids who actually grew up in poverty didn't choose that chaos. It was forced on them. Yet here's King Harris, born into luxury, treating it like a role he can slip into for clout. And just when you think it couldn't feel more insulting, his behavior isn't just fake, it's offensive. To those who live through violence, his antics are like spitting on their pain. They didn't have the choice of a mansion or private school to fall back on. That's why rappers, bloggers, and even his own parents keep shouting the same warning. The streets don't care about money, fame, or privilege. Once you step over that line, you're just another name waiting to be crossed out. At this point, King Harris is standing at a fork in the road. One path leads to opportunity, legacy, and a future only few could dream of. The other ends in a cell, or worse, in a coffin. And right now, every step he takes is dragging him toward the wrong side. And that's not all. His parents have pleaded with him. Fans have begged him. Even rappers hardened by real street wars have warned him that he's toying with fire. But King keeps charging forward as if he's untouchable, as if the consequences don't apply to him. Gets worse. The truth is cold and unforgiving. The streets don't care who your father is. They don't care about celebrity, money, or fame. Once you insert yourself into that life, you're judged like everyone else. And history shows what happens when someone crosses the wrong line. It always ends in violence. And just when you think it couldn't be more heartbreaking, here's the reality. King Harris already has what millions would give everything for. Well, influence, a platform, a chance to create something lasting. Yet he's gambling it all for an image that could end his story early. So the real question is, will King open his eyes before it's too late? Or will he become another headline in a tragedy that never needed to happen? What do you think? Can King Harris turn this around, or is he too far gone? Share your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if you're watching closely, and subscribe, because this story is only getting more intense.